Alright, time to check my grades. 零分? Wait. In computer science? Oh my god, I'm so mad. Hi, 大家好 This is James and welcome to my channel. 我在香港科技大学的第一年的 first semester 已经结束了。趁我现在还不是特别忙的时候 let me consolidate and reflect on my experiences in my first semester of university. If you have seen my previous videos, I've shared my experiences and thoughts on studying in university before, like happiness and self-confidence and self-regulation, etc. Now, through these strategies, I was able to achieve straight A's for my first semester of university at hkust, ending up with a GPA of 3.9. Now, I cannot say that I did my absolute best because I was actually aiming for a bit higher than that, but I am satisfied with the result given that it is my first ever semester of university in my life. And just before y'all destroy me about clickbaiting with the 零分, stick around, I promise I'll get to that as well later in the video. But anyway, in this video, I will go over the two major aspects of what helped me not only survive, but also thrive in my first semester at hkust. Let's do it. Alright, so the first aspect is lifestyle. To be more specific, it's how your daily habits and routines influence your academic progress. And I cannot stress this enough because, at least for me personally, health is such an underrated aspect and such an important and overlooked aspect of university life. I mean, you've probably heard of this like many times before, but getting enough sleep, having a good routine, and plenty of exercise is going to set you apart from the others who are just trying to study through studying. My point is, we are all in university, and there isn't really that big of a difference between the majority of us when it comes to academic talent. When everyone else is working so hard at university, in the library, working so many hours a day, or working non-stop throughout the weekends, what really sets you apart from the others is not how hard you work, but rather the time at which you work and the efficiency of your work. Working an extra 2 hours at midnight is likely not going to have the same sort of efficiency as if you were to, let's say, work for just 30 minutes every day in the morning. If you've been keeping up with my channel, you've probably seen this video before, which shows my friend Casey, who is a professional athlete. And what I learned from him is that because he has to manage both his pro sports career, but also he's also doing this technology and management dual degree program, same as me, he has to manage so many things and juggle between lifestyle, academics, sports, etc., right? And when he's doing all of this, he really doesn't have time to not sleep, because the moment he doesn't sleep, that happens. 所以没有良好的生活习惯就是在透支你的未来。我知道这个有可能听上去像一个 cliché phrase, but 我其实自己亲身有体会，也有感觉到它的好处，就是早睡Oh my god, 早睡早起 and I felt the effects myself. I became more positive. I found that I had like the energy to go through my day and go through all the classes, the revision, the homework without being mentally and physically tired like I would back in, let's say, high school. I started working out, I started eating with good habits, and I started to sleep early and wake up early. So this aspect is such a generic, but often because it's so generic, it's overlooked all of the time. And I think I'm yapping at this point, but you get the idea. Let's move on to the second point. Okay, before I talk about the second part, let me tell you guys a quick story. In my first semester, my most confident subject was computer science because I was taking CS50 from Harvard back since high school. And during the midterm, I reckon that I did all right. But the truth is, it didn't really matter what I got on the test because shortly after I took the test, I was notified that I was potentially cheating for the exam since it was an online exam, and I got a 0 for the test. Now, just before I continue, let this be a quick reminder to you all doing any sort of online exams. I think I had the camera positioned in an angle like this, and then I had my laptop here, I had my mouse here, and I was doing the test, the midterm, right? And what happened was my head was out of the frame like this for like a few seconds, and I was flagged for potentially cheating, and the rest is history. But anyway, what this meant for me is that I had to do really well on the final exam if I wanted to get a high grade. Luckily, there were 2 grading schemes, so I could just choose the better grading scheme, which didn't actually include the midterm, but it did give me a sense of emergency that I had to change up my study pattern, because prior to that, the first 2 months of university, I was doing terribly. Not horrible in terms of grades, but mentally, I wasn't in it, and the grades, pretty average as well. I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't really have a good study plan. So this is what leads us into the second point, which is having a good studying strategy. So let's talk about that right now. So as soon as I got that 零分 on my computer science exam, the following day I made this massive timetable, which was precise down to the hour every single day. I had my sleep schedule planned out. I had when I would have every meal, my classes obviously, shower, gym, and also the free time for like social and sports, etc. So I had a really strict timetable, and I followed that for the rest of the term. Now the pro of having a timetable is that it's a lot harder for you to miss any sort of important major events, and I dare say that I did miss quite a few important events before making this timetable. So that's one of the pros. And then the other big thing is that I don't have to constantly think about what I'm gonna do. So I can have lunch, and I know exactly after lunch, I'm gonna study for 2 hours. I'm gonna go play basketball. I'm gonna do blah, 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 right? So I don't have to spend that extra 5 minutes just contemplating, oh, what am I gonna do next? Should I go hang out with my friends, or should I go study? Because if you're put in a position like that, 90% of the time, you probably already know which way you're gonna go. Now, the next little component of this study strategy is setting yourself goals. Now, these aren't just your ordinary goals that you're taught in school, the SMART goals, right? SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Those goals, they're very good. You need to have those in order to progress. But what I'm talking about aren't just small goals. These goals are more like visions, aspirations, dreams almost. Heck, I could even set myself a goal of getting a 4.3 GPA every single semester from now on. Even if I don't ever achieve it in my university life, it will set the trajectory of which direction I'm looking. And these big goals are actually completely different and much more effective than your small ordinary goals, because by having small, like very achievable goals in like short time frames, I mean, it's good, keep it that way. But if you only have those and they're so easy to achieve, you're gonna be on the side doing like other random stuff, because you're like, oh, okay, this goal is so achievable, you know, I can spend more time doing this and still achieve the goal, and I'm so happy with myself. But when you look back, you didn't really do much, did you? But this kind of monster goal, especially when combined with the cumulative effect of these small daily objectives and goals, you're really gonna set yourself apart with those who do not have that grand vision that you do. And just to be clear, when I say these big goals like visions and aspirations, I don't mean it in terms of like a very big abstract thing, like I want to be a scientist in the future. I'm talking about the extreme version of a small goal, being GPA could be a goal, and the extreme version, I want to get a 4.3. Let's say you want to play golf and you have a handicap of 20, and your goal is to get to a handicap of 15, but your goal is to be a scratch golfer. So that's the difference between a goal and a goal. 第三点就是 getting ahead of the curve by knowing your priorities. No matter what, your priorities, in my case, it would be academics, let's say, always comes before hobbies. So I still have hobbies. I still play basketball, I play golf, I go, I don't know, play chess, whatever. I still have those things to maintain a balanced life, but academics always comes before my hobbies. For example, you'll have more time studying than hobbies every week. If you have that at the back of your mind, really, you don't have to constantly think about, oh, I should study. But if you have that thought in the back of your mind, that idea, you're already on the right track, because you know what is really important for you and what is going to be good for you in the long term. So no matter what, your priorities always come before your not so important but will bring you happiness activities. But if you can think of something, prove me wrong in the comments below, because I can't think of anything that off the top of my mind that is a counter argument. It's only after, you know, studying and reviewing what I learned and finishing my homework, then I start watching Monkey D. Luffy find the One Piece. All right, and bonus tip for y'all, this is sort of like on the edge of academics, it's about choosing the right pathway, because going for a field that you really aren't interested in and eventually having to change anyways because you just can't deal with the content, or that's just not your interest, right, is really not that great of an idea. As for myself, back in high school, I was swapping all over the place. I dropped out of like several classes because I just didn't want to do that in the future, or I didn't want to study that kind of thing. I had interest in other things. It's not like, oh, I don't like school, so I'm just going to drop out of school. Not that kind of concept, but I knew what I liked and what I didn't. So if you're in high school, especially, or below, just change. You can go watch my videos before. I talked about choosing high school subjects, etc. But even if you're in university, you really want to make this decision with as much deep thought as possible. Are you really going to pursue this in the future? Do you really want to do something like this? Or is it just because I've been placed in this degree and I'm just going to deal with it, right? Obviously, there are pros and cons to each decision, but from my opinion, if you got to change, you got to change, because that's going to alter your entire pathway and trajectory of your life. OK， 那今天的视频就到这里了。我应该也讲了有大半个小时到45分钟了，到时候视频剪好应该是10分钟左右的一个视频。If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. And finally, yes, if you are interested, you can keep watching this video to watch this little montage of how my wild hairstyle has changed for the past 19 years. And with that, I'll see you guys next time. See ya!